What's going on, guys? You got Kwasi here for Kwasi Animation Studio and Kwasi Media Network. Dropped the episode Wednesday. It was a prime time episode, so it dropped at like 7:30, 8 o'clock. And it's for my series Versus, of course. So, like, let's look at the thumbnail. This is the thumbnail I did for it. So, yeah, so you want to check that out? Go ahead and click the link, and yeah, you can watch the episode. I tend to make episodes anywhere between 5 to 12 minutes. I don't like to do too much because it sometimes it's just takes too long, and I be wanting to get the episode out now. But nonetheless, what I'm showing right now is how I did this scene with my people in it. Don't know why it's not showing the overlay for the characters. That's weird. Did I turn bones off? Yep, bones are off. All right. And extra items. Okay. Yeah, so each character has a control rig, which is the Tomodachi auto rigger. This is not Auto Rig Pro. This is Auto Rigger, which it basically helps you use models that don't have a conventional bone setup or armature setup. But nonetheless, the whole thing was to show the effect. So if you look up here, you can come up here. I have what I call a Minister's Halo, right? I'm gonna go to the control, and the control is an empty, which for some reason it can't be seen. I don't know why. Yeah, it's weird. I can't see the actual empty. I don't think I hit it. Did I? Oh no, it's small. Never mind. It has a scale of 0 right now. But nonetheless, in the scene, the minister Wayman, which is this guy, Wayman, is going to the shaded view. It may lag out a little because I am doing recording video. So yeah, I wanted to. Okay, so I'll turn the overlay off. So this guy, this is Minister Wayman. He is the second in command of the ministers, or the 7 ministers of God. Okay, and he is a very powerful person in amongst the ranks. And then back here you have Armin, which is the third in command of the evils. And then she has a person that I don't have her in the scene because this shot was about him. I don't even know why I had Garvin in this shot. I should have took him out of the shot too. But he's in the I'm sorry. This shot is about him using one of his more powerful techniques. So I wanted to show that technique off. So let's just run the video clip. So go back into the camera.
Neither of us will be running today, evil.
All right, hold on. Let me pause the music. Oh, wow. I just did it. Okay, so let's run it back to the beginning.
Neither of us will be running today, evil.
Okay, so now and I did all this in camera. So of course, if you look at the episode, everything looks a little bit more steady, right? But I do have on the camera. Let's go to his camera. On the camera, there is, where is Wayman's camera? Here. There is a no, I'll do it vertical. Yeah. Come over to the graph. There is an actual modifier, noise modifier, right? So that noise modifier was giving me that shake. And so that was one of the things that I wanted to have So, I mean, that's one of the things I did so I
Neither
wouldn't
of
have to
us
do
will
it in
be winning
post.
today. Evil.
Okay, so if we look at it without the the look at it outside of the camera, because that's why I think
Neither of us
it's
will
kind of
be
cool to
winning
have
today.
things in the
Evil.
shot. And he leans backward. Go back up to the effect. This way I can click something. I'll click the emitter. Okay. So if I come into solid view, you could see that there is an emitter, right? So this emitter is just basically a circle, but I just called it emitter instead. So if I turn the thing on, the overlay on, you can see the emitter. Now, the emitter has 3,500 particles. And the only reason why I didn't give it a larger number, I mean, it does have a larger number in the next shot, but the reason why I didn't give it a larger number was because I wanted it to build up. As you can see, if you go into the dope sheet, you can see right here for the particle for the emitter. Let me slide this up some more. So you see the emitter, right? And we drop this down, you see the lifetime. So the lifetime starts at 25 and then it builds up. So this way I can get this. So in the middle, the particles will stay longer and I have it building up. Okay. So if we go back into full render view, you can see the particles build up over time. And that was what I wanted. As you can see, it get lighter and lighter. So when we come into the next shot, go back into the action editor because I don't want that on top. All right. So when, oop, wrong thing. Okay, I'll just slide out. Oh, we're in there tight. Let me do this instead then. Go to Wayman, click. All right, so that was one of the things that I wanted to demonstrate. One of the things that I was looking at was how do I get it to look like it's building in the middle. So going to the next shot, that was one of the things that I looked at also is the next shot is we get to see her get shocked because she's shocked by the fact that's happening. So you still have the camera shake and then here it's still vibrating. So let me go over to it again. Gonna go back to the emitter. Okay, so already there. So now as you can see it's steady building. Okay, so if I come into render view, all right, and you see that there's a centerpiece that is building. All right, I was respond to a message. I'm sorry. So this center portion is building up. So if we just look at it from here, you can see that now, if I go to the emitter, there's 10,000 particles now. Okay, so it started at 0 and build it up. You can see that the particles are generating. So what I wanted to happen in the center is that part. It's there is a sphere, right? So this sphere, which is highlighted there, go back to solid mode. That sphere is building because the particles are generating in its center, and then so in the shot, we go back to the shot. She notices this, so in terror, she's like, "Oh no!" And then they leave. Okay, so in this particular shot, one of the things I looked at was I wanted when I had to figure out how to see how this of the particles. Now let's go back up to. I'll close the cameras real quick. Go to the emitter. The emitter has 3,500 particles again, but this time again it's still set. There's still a keyframes on it, but it has a shorter time because I have a negative start frame on it. So this way, if I go, it'll automatically just start. All right. But the thing that I saw that was different, this actually was a beautiful mistake. Okay. So let's look at this beautiful mistake, and I'm going to do it in full render mode. All right, go. Now, right here, the particles get stuck. You see how they got stuck? The particles got stuck. Okay, so if I come back to the beginning again, boom. Okay, because it stopped during lifetime, so they just stayed there, and then they went away because what I did with the force field was turn it off. Okay, so the force field was just doing its job, so everything just stayed because the inflow is 6, but it's negative strength, so it just stopped. And then so once the go back to the particles, once the after 40, there was nothing for it to do besides just stay there because they pushed back out because of the force field. Boom. So they pushed back out, and then they went away after the fact, which was gorgeous because I was just like, ooh, because the lifetime was up, right? And again, if I go back to the dope sheet, you can see that the lifetime of the particles is from 30 to 66. So it's just, well, 65. So it was probably 66. So as soon as that was all said and done, then of course he comes down, and then the guy looks over at him. And spoiler alert, the minister on the ground is not dead. He's just out of it. But yeah, so that's one of the things that I had to figure out, and I was like, I wanted the particles to stop, but I had to figure out how to make that happen without messing anything up. So one of the things that I looked at was the best thing I could do was hope, because my intent was to stop the force field. And I was like, no, if I stop the force field, the particles are going to shoot everywhere. So when I did that, the particles just shot all over the place. So what I did was I said, you know what? The best thing to do is to give these particles a shorter lifetime, like make this go slower. So go shorter period. I'm sorry. So I gave it a shorter period of time. But the key was to give it a ending time. So it starts at the negative 40 mark, but ends at 40. So as you can see, if you just play with it, the particles are scattered. So what you see right there where all the particles kind of scatter all over the place, that's what was happening when I turned off the force field. And I was like, no, let's not turn off the force field. I know what to do. I'm going to turn the force field. I'm not going to turn the force field off. I'm just going to change the end. So I wanted the end to be right after, because I told you that this is at 60, but it goes back down to 1. The thing is it starts 10 frames before the particles start to end. So it pushes it back out, and then it gives it that effect. So I thought that was just too cool, because when you see the effect fully, it just looks so cool. So it ended up being a beautiful mistake, because I was trying to figure out how to get to the effect. It ended up with the effect by way of just playing with the particle system. So that's one of the things I've been saying is, like, just play with it, mess with it, see what you can get from it. All right. So if we were to look at the full clip, all right, let's just go to it. And I'm not the actual episode, but the clip itself. Oh, wait a minute. They up here. All right. Wall City is clip. Which one is it? 16. Okay. So if I go to 16, and I just think that it's just too cool. Let's play it again. Yeah, so that's the effect I ended up with. Yeah, and there were 16 shots for this. If you can't tell, like, this is 16 shots. Even though for some reason once you get past 10, it starts to go out of order. I don't understand why the numerical system in any computer system works like that, but that's beside the point. So yeah, that was the effect that I came up with, and I was just like, all right, how do I get this effect to make sense? So another one, I think it was, let me go look at the video clips. Look at, which one is it? I think it's this one. No, not that one. This one. Yeah, so that one was 12. So, okay, let me go to 12. All right. So shot 12. The thing about shot 12 is she has particles going herself, right? So what he does is he's firing off. So you can see her particles here. All right, so he's running across, he jumps, his particles build up and then fire off. Now, if you can see, see that this is the emitter. All right. So he's firing off a blast. So the emitter, which I have highlighted here, as you can clearly see, the emitter is moving with the actual empty, because the empty, if I turn it on, is attached to it. All right. So I'm sorry, it's attached to the empty because I'm using empties as controls. So he take it blast off and it hits, and of course this is, you can learn, I don't know, I can't remember where the tutorial is for this, but you can just look for I think smoke plumes, Plume, and it should pop up. It's an older tutorial from like, I think, well, I'm saying older tutorial, it was like last year or something, but it still holds true, and I like the way that it worked, so I use that for that effect. But she's holding hers now. Something I noticed that happened, and you'd have to look at it here. I want to say, let me click it side. Hold on, let me see. All right, yeah, her particles start to tighten up. So if we come back and we look at her particles, they start to tighten up because there's two different force fields working at the same time. Because hers is a charge. I'm using hers, and so her force field is -3 strength, 3 inflow, and then his is -6 strength and 6 inflow. I mean 6 flow, not inflow. So the reason why I bring that up is because this force field is beginning to affect this one by -3, since it's only -3. Okay. So as it gets closer, you see the particles start to get close. All right. Now when I come back, all right, that blows up. Let's come out of there. And now if you can tell here, it's affected by that. Because this -3 is giving it a tunneling effect. So it's trying, like these particles still trying to go to this force field, but getting sucked to that one. And I didn't turn it off. As you can clearly see, it is still on, and I didn't turn it off. Because once it got to right about here, like right here, I should have turned it off, and I didn't. And I was just like, oh, well, the effect will be okay. So when we look at the effect from the beginning, pull it back some, we see the effect from the beginning, right? Now scan through. So you see you see that this is still there, because I mean it's invisible in scene. And then he takes off. When he jumps, it builds, boom, blast off, and the particles are just slowly going that way. All right. Okay. So as you can see how crazy it looks, but it fixes fast because I'm scanning through, so it's not as good as if it was just playing. But that was the thing I was looking at. I was like, okay, I didn't turn these particles off. Like here, you can see again that force field is at 0, and then at frame 20, it turns on. That's why there's a cluster there, but because it's moving forward, it's still pulling particles with it. So that worked out kind of to my advantage. So we turn everything back on. Sorry for the glare. Okay. So when it goes, and you can see her color here. So it started to build up, build up. So wham. All right. So those particles are following, and they go away because I gave them a really short lifetime. And hers are still there. And again, because I'm scanning it, it gives that glare. So let me just press play. I mean, it breaks the particles up. I don't know why I say glare. Yeah. So you could see right there how the particles are still affected by that. And it's so weird. Like it's like why like it's bending them to the side, even though the camera view is showing it from this angle. So I just think that it is so weird, but it worked in the shot. So we look at the shot. Because you don't really think anything of it until I tell you that, right? You just see the particles moving. So you don't really think anything of it until I say something. So yeah, that was one of the things that I just thought that was a really trippy circumstance. Let me go back to the camera. And this is the thing, I didn't realize a lot of these weren't pushed down. So let me push these down. Okay. Probably why I lagged out so much. Yeah, it's way faster now. Yeah, but that was one of the things I looked at for the particles because let me see, and then another effect. But yeah, the biggest one was Wayman doing his energy thing. I want to say it was this one. Let's look at the shot, and then she vanishes. Right. So one of the disadvantages to having character models, I don't want to say that was like the third one. Which one was it? The eighth one. Okay. One of the disadvantages to having a model that is like multiple pieces, because here she goes to vanish, right? Right. Because of what I'm using for her right now, because they're the only, there's really only three people in the scene, because Damien is still over in this corner, and then Garvin's on the ground. Wayman, of course, is has his energy built up in his hand. But what I looked at was is each part has build modifier on it in reverse. Okay, because it starts at 80 and it's only 20 frames in length. So 80 and then 20 frames later, she's gone. Okay, which means it has to go to 100. All right. Okay, so the thing is the reason why she's doing that is to just kind of befuddle them or whatnot. But I had to click each part for that, and if you look, this is just the boots, the bottom of her boot. Okay, when we go down, you see it's all. I have it all the way down to her teeth. Excuse me. So that was one of the things that I looked at, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna have to add a build modifier to each part. Usually, what I would do is just combine the character, all the character components, and probably leave the eyes separate and the mouth separate, because when you blend them together, especially the mouth for some reason, it turns the mouth the same shader as the skin for some reason. And I don't know if I don't know why. So I just was like, okay. But for this effect, again, we have him building. So there's a charge. And the funny part to it is I'm using this energy charge in almost every cut when there's a particle system, except for the blast, because the blast particles are different, just period. Okay, so again, we have another force field that's set to -2 and 5 flow. So reason why I gave it the strength of -2 is to pull the particles in, because the particles, if we go to the emitter, the particles have no weight. When I go to field weights, there's no gravity. Okay. So when I look at this particular thing, it's attached to his hand. That's why when he turns, it's there. So you see it'll start to gather, right? And I thought that it was kind of cool because he turns and then it gathers, right? And then all of the parts come together, boom. And then they just keep pushing to the center. But because she disappears, it goes away. So you don't get to see that really, right? But the reason why I'm using a particle system instead of like a bunch of effects that I was using like ROD. In Rise of the Derulians, I use a lot of like just image effects. So if we just go to, if I go to my VFX, my general VFX, I was using like a lot of like just general overall stuff. Like you have like a blast effect like this or something when I go in here. And I would use stuff like this. Okay, so if I hit the button, of course, and there's nothing wrong with that, but I think that was the style that I wanted for ROD. So for verses, I didn't want that style. So in verses, it was like, okay, I need something different. So I wanted to use particle systems. And don't get me wrong, there are some things similar like that. Like for instance, for Tang, he has this ability where he could turn you to stone. So this is what it looks like. Okay, so to show that, I want to say it was in episode 2. Yeah, Juso Road 2 or Juso Road 1. No, it's Juso Road 2. I mean 1. Okay, so let that load up because it's for some reason my videos just take forever to load up. So yeah, this is one of his abilities. So it's called Tame Petrify. So this is how I use that for that effect, but it's not something that just like it's not a common thing for their power levels. So I want to say it was this one. Yeah, this one. So here, okay. So Wayman is using his, but then I was using a particle system as a to create like sparks. So it didn't work there because again, I still use those types of things, but they're not specifically set up to be their normal everyday run of the mill abilities. So for instance, I want to say it was is it Deflection Plane? Yeah. So yeah, this is what I created. That's what was behind her, and this is just something that I wanted the evils to have to deflect energy from like the ministers or whatnot. And then there is their portal, the minister's portal, which you can't see until I change this on the in the graph editor. I mean, not the graph editor. What's the yeah, that thing. So I mean, it's usually I don't have the glow on because I didn't really need to be on, but yeah. So in the color ramp, so I already know which numbers, and I just have them memorized which numbers. So when the portal comes on, that's what it looks like. I had a spell I did for one of the characters I brought in. Again, you have the particle, you have the emitter, which is the disc, and then I have turbulence. And the turbulence is to give it this like crazy look when it comes out or whatnot. So one of the things is 5,000 parts. It starts and goes to 200. So if I just put this at 200 and it'll start over, right? And that's just one of those things where you just try to figure out something to work, because I didn't need like a some sort of fluid simulation or anything like that, even though that would probably look cool, is I don't know what to do like for like an energy blast or something, but I probably would make it a VB was it VDB. What's the other one? I want to say it was this one. Yeah, because this is his halo, so that's the halo, effect. And then yeah, so that was the halo effect I created for him, for Wayman. I'm sorry, I said for him, like you knew who I was talking about. All right, and then I think I have to turn these off. Okay, no, that's not it. It's the collision. Yeah, the collision particles. So the collision particles are like that's the thing that you saw that was pushing behind Millicent when he was firing off his beam. So when he fires off his casting, this is what it is. Not is it that? Is it this one? I think it was that one. Yeah. So if it's not this one, I think it's maybe this one. Then I think it's this one. Yeah, that one. This is the one he was using against her, and the sparks came off. So these little effects, some stuff like this here's the stuff that I'll do, and this has a clip on it, not a blend. So there's no alpha blend, it's alpha clip. Let's check the time, 27 minutes. Okay. So yeah, this is the thing. So I wanted to develop my own particular things. I didn't want to just have just anything. So like for instance, this is something that I created for one of my YouTube buddies, one of my friends. And this was like this beam coming through and it's blowing up each piece and whatnot. And I don't know why I didn't want to play well, but it didn't. And it's supposed to have a beam going through it. Don't know why the beam isn't there. But yeah, so that was something I created, but that's not what I was trying to show. I'm trying to find a particular part. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Oh yeah, like this flame here. Like it's not showing like it should, and I don't know why. I feel like I need to grab it, and because it should be showing way better than this, and I don't understand why it's not. And sometimes it's just weird to me because like you see how that looks. So if I come here, this empty, there's an empty in there as you can see, and this is what that looks like. But for some reason, the um the system it doesn't always want to cooperate with it, and I don't get why. And this, I feel like sometimes I have to like change it up to get it to act right, because it's supposed to spin and it's not spinning. The outer flame. So this is the outer flame. I'm sorry, no. This is the wisp. Yeah. So the wisp for some reason isn't moving like it should, and I don't know why. So I'm thinking this is turn the mask off. So when I turn when I turn the mask off and I turn it back on, then it acts properly. So that's what it's supposed to look like. Okay. And it's just weird to me how it works sometimes. But yeah, so and I love that effect. And I've used that effect for Tang. I'm not Tang, Tylian. in one of the in season one, in one of the episodes of season one, having a lightning impact. Don't know why I say so long. Load up. So yeah, this was something I created for Gorum. It just, and the thing was is to show it like this here, but in itself it strikes because there is a there's a shape key attached to it. So yeah, that's one of the things I want to show you guys. I just want to show you how I create certain effects, and that's pretty much one of the things that I do is just sit back and just say, okay, how would this work? So for like each person, like for instance, the evils, they use this as their, this is their teleport. You saw that in one of the clips just showed a second ago. So yeah, one of the biggest things I think you can do for effects or whatnot is try to find something that works for you. In, I guess, what would be the best way to put that? Find something that works for what you're set out to do, and then use that. Because I've realized, like, one of the biggest issues that I've run into is trying to find something that actually makes sense, but having to remember that I need to render now. I can't be waiting till later to render. So I'm trying, and I also needed to render fast. Why? It's because I only have the one computer, and I'm trying to do a lot of things at one time. Like for instance, this is something of course you saw the video. It's on the channel, but this is one of those things where it's like, put this together, and it shouldn't take too long, because it's just a simple, as you can see, it's just a simple cylinder and the bottom of a sphere. I mean, just learning how to put those things together to create an effect that in camera looks good. Like in camera looks good. So with that being said, I hope that you guys could just. I just wanted to show you that for the episode, from the episode. I'm sorry, and I just wanted you to see the workflow in the process. So with that being said, I'm going to play this clip. I'm going to look at it from here, and again, something as simple as that can be done. And remember, what's in the camera is what matters. And I think that that's a cool shot. So yeah, if there's anything you want to see particularly or whatnot, let me know. I tend not to ask it, I know, but just let me know if there's anything particular you want to see. And if I can do it, I will. If I don't, I will learn and then show you. So with that being said, nothing but love. Holla at you guys.